So hello and welcome to Fuel Mixologist. In this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you some thoughts around sometimes things that can happen when you are kind of building carburetors, and I'm going to title It Ain't Over Till It's Over. Now I've got here two Holley carbs that I've been kind of doing some videos of. This is the one that I had to kind of reface the surfaces here, and so when I started with this carb I thought it was kind of quite rough compared to this one that was relatively what I thought to be a piece of light recommissioning. And the reason why it isn't over till it's over is because this turned out to be more of a challenge actually in the end than this one. So whilst this one I needed to reface kind of the mating surfaces here, pretty much all of the rest was uncomplicated, save for I had to change here the diaphragm for the vacuum secondary, but again that wasn't necessarily a big job. Everything came together kind of relatively easily, so it was kind of okay, and that was it. So let's now apart from it, obviously this carb has a few details. I mean, it's got a bit of a crack here, but it doesn't matter the operation of the carb. So this is quite a nice little, straight carb, relative very low miles actually, and everything came together relatively simply. Now let's look at the other carb, the one that I thought was going to be easier. So I started getting into a bit of a fight with this carb, and the first thing that happened was that I discovered that the thread in here in the needle and seat was quite deteriorated. So what I did is I refaced the thread with a tap, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try and give you a close-up of this. So I don't know if you can see it here, but the thread is really, there is a bit of thread here, but it's minimal. So obviously the thread is quite damaged here, and that's the reason why basically what I had to do is I had to change both fuel bowls in this carb, because whilst I assembled this and tested it with my good old kind of vacuum gauge, what I do is I assemble them and I basically test them in reverse. So I test them with a vacuum, and if it works, it will hold the fuel. It will hold the fuel in place. So actually this carb wasn't very good. So I ended up having to swap both fuel bowls so they look more or less the same. And actually in the end it came out okay, because they are more or less the same color as the rest of the unit. And then the other problem I had with this is obviously that there was some damage here, and I had to do kind of a little bit of grinding here, and I had to replace the choke flap because the choke flap again was damaged beyond repair. I had to check it in the bin. When I took it out, it came damaged. So obviously what looked like the easier rebuild turned out not to be. So that's kind of a bit of a lesson, that sometimes when you start these projects and they can bring all sorts of surprises, but actually now this carb is in good conditions, good enough, and it's kind of ready to hit the road, but it fought me quite a bit to get here. So I just wanted to give you that kind of story about how things can change. And it's also quite important when you're doing the final assembly, that you check everything. So for example, this bowl, this problem with the thread here, I only spotted it when I was doing the final assembly. So it's always very important when you're doing the final assembly to be really careful what you're doing. So I'll see you in the next episode.